Welcome to the first episode of On the Winbox. And basically the reason I'm doing this show, and it's going to be a regular show, is because often around the office, networking, people calling me up, people tweeting me, I get asked a lot of email marketing questions about best practice, how you should manage your email marketing, and how you can make sure it's a success, and how they can achieve the results that the Winbox winners do. So I thought I'd formalise it a little bit more, and I'll ask people to tweet me their email marketing questions with the hashtag WinboxWinners, which people have been doing over the past few weeks, and then I'll shoot a regular Q&A video where I can answer those questions and help people with their email marketing knowledge, so we can help the UK spread value through excellent email marketing campaigns. And that's the aim of this. Every episode is going to have a special guest, and today we have a very special guest.
Very special
guest in the form of Olly Culverhouse from Signable.
Yep.
So do you want to tell the millions of people worldwide watching this what Signable is, who you are, and what you do?
Sure. My name's Olly Culverhouse. I run a company called Signable. Signable is an online platform that allows our customers to get their contracts and documents signed on any device, wherever they are in the world, without the need for pen and paper, getting them signed legally, securely, within just a few minutes.
And it's that exciting.
It is that exciting.
That is how exciting
Changing the world, one document at a time.
That's it. And Winbox use Signable, and it is excellent. All our contracts are signed by there, and they're signed in minutes rather than days.
They are indeed. Documents signed now, not next week.
Now, not next week.
Yeah.
So, that's why I've invited Olly in today. But each episode is going to have a different special guest. We might see Olly back. It depends how good he is in this episode.
Of course.
So, he's on trial right now, so wait and see. Okay, so let's get into the email marketing questions.
Cool.
That's been tweeted over the past couple of weeks, so far away in any order you like.
No problem. So a question from @if everyone cares on Twitter. How do you work out what's good for a business's email strategy? What do you try and get from a client in your initial meeting?
Okay, so the first thing that I discuss with every one of my new clients is number one, what is their objectives of their email marketing strategy? Why do they want to do email marketing? And quite often when you question them on their reasons, it's not the initial reason that they think. So whenever I say to people, okay, why do you want to do email marketing? I want more leads, I want more sales, I want more money return on investment. And you really have to question into them about whether that is actually right for them, and if that's going to get the results long-term for their business that they desire. And then number two is who is their target audience? So who exactly are we targeting with these campaigns? Is it their existing customers? Is it new prospects? Is it a certain vertical industry? Is it a certain size business, type of person? So we really have to drill down on who we are targeting with the campaigns, so we can make sure the campaigns are absolutely relevant to that person. And I just want to touch on that a little bit more as well about the customer side. So always when I have conversations with clients, first they say, we're focused on leads, getting new business. Whereas for your email marketing, and any marketing, I would say, your main focus and your main priority has to be your customers. It has to be your customers. Do not overlook your customers, because they are the ones that pay your bills. They're the ones that keep you in business, keep the food in your belly when you go home at night. So they have to be your priority for everything, and you can really help them with your email campaigns and build great relationships with them through your email marketing, through your regular newsletters. So always focus on them first. And then the relationships that you build with your customers, you can leverage to get new business. So you can leverage those relationships to ask them for referrals, to ask them to spread the word on their social media channels and to share your newsletter and mention it to other people. So always think about your customers first, and then after that, think about your existing new leads and prospects.
I think some of that obviously can apply to a lot of marketing things and a lot of business, to be honest. And I think there's a lot of things that people do miss.
Yeah.
Especially with something like email marketing, which even though it's been around for a while, it can be still seen to some people as a new way of marketing, and something rather than jumping on the bandwagon and following everyone else. Obviously, like you said, they need to have a clear strategy, because otherwise they're just wasting time and money.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. It's cool.
Good stuff. I'm glad you liked that answer.
I did indeed. Tick. Next question. This one is from BRS Bubbleball on Twitter. What are your top 3 tips for creating an engaging email?
Top 3 tips. So BRS Bubbleball, that's Bristol Bubbleball, run by Laurie, who was in the same accelerator program as us. So thanks for the question, Laurie. Really appreciate you tweeting in. So my top 3 tips for an engaging email campaign. Tip number one, make sure it's relevant. So make sure it's the person that you're sending it to is going to get value from that campaign because the content applies to them. Don't just send out a general message to everyone you know, hoping it will strike a chord with one of them. Make sure that you segment your list and you really focus on what topics you're going to create to appeal to that recipient. So that's number one. Number two, don't have to text too long. Get in, get your message across, get out.
Yep.
There's so many emails that come through, and it does frustrate me, all these bad emails out there. This is part of why I'm doing this, is trying to sort out the amount of crap emails that we get day in, day out. I think I read the other day that we get 143 business emails a day.
Yeah, probably.
How many of them are useful and relevant?
Yeah.
So this is what we're trying to fix.
Right.
Just if we open up an email and it's an essay, then we're not inclined to read the whole email. We haven't got time. We've got such a short attention span when it comes to emails that if we see an essay, we're just going to say, you know what, I haven't got time for that. Unsubscribe, delete, just move on, and you'll ignore it going forward then. You would literally blinker it in your inbox, so you won't even give it the time of day, and you just flick onto the other 142 emails that are coming into your inbox that day. So yeah, just make sure it's nice, short, sharp text. Don't have an essay, get your point across, and then get out. And also from a design perspective, make sure it appeals, this is number 3, make sure it appeals to scanners. We don't read every word in the email. No matter how great your content is in your copy, we won't read every word because we're so busy. So just make sure that anyone scanning the email can really understand what the message is that you want to get across and whether they want to click through and read more about it. A good way to do that is a clear heading, and make sure the heading is a value proposition, not just welcome to my newsletter. Make sure it's actually telling them what value they're going to get from this email, and then a clear call to action. And I really like the call to actions to be buttons. Text links are great, images, icons, there's lots of things that you can use, but from my experience, from all of my clients' campaigns, usually if you have a button, then your click-through rate is going to be higher, you're going to get higher engagement rates, because people can scan, head in, button, I know what to do. And on that button, make sure it doesn't just say, click here, read more, or in text like that, actually sell it into them. Click here to learn this about this subject. Click here to get smarter at this. Just have a bit more about it. So yeah, make sure it appeals to
So that's more like 3, 4, 5 tips, so people got their extra stuff
I like to give value.
Good.
So you ask me for 3 tips, I'll give you 8.
Yeah, exactly. I think also following on from that, because this has also been filmed in beginning of February now, before Christmas, you get the classic email come through that from people who you didn't even realise were on their marketing, or you were on their marketing list of Merry Christmas from the team at whoever. 1 email a year, classic sort of we wish you a Merry Christmas emails. You're just like, what sort of value does it give to you, especially when you see 20 or 30 in your email inbox in the weeks coming up to Christmas? It just seems like sometimes people forget and they go, well, oh God, we haven't sent an email out this week or this year even. Oh, let's send a Christmas one out because that would be really great. Forgetting the fact that email marketing is a lot, in my opinion, about the long-term thing as well, rather than the short-term bursts.
Definitely.
So yeah, and as you said, loads of them are essays or even just no value at all. Yeah. So we wish you a Merry Christmas in an email. Yeah, it's nice, but you know there are other additional values you can give to customers as well.
And I remember seeing it was either a tweet you sent out or a Facebook post, and it was just before Christmas, and it said on there, "Nice to receive a Merry Christmas message from a spammer. It's as if they care." That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was me. Yeah. Which is interesting. They're getting a bit cleverer, really. They're actually just saying, at the bottom of the email it says, "Hope you have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year." And it was a sort of a complete spam email, which was interesting.
Spammers care too. They have hearts too.
They do.
We still don't like them.
No.
Even if they wish us a Merry Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. So next question from @prolificsw on Twitter. What's the best way to get opt-in email subscribers?
The best way to get opt-in email subscribers? Yeah, just go out and buy as much data as you can.
Buy as many lists as you can.
You know that's not right.
Right, next question.
You know that's not what we're all about.
Right.
So there's a formula. There's a simple formula for getting opt-in subscribers.
Yeah.
And that is a valuable incentive times lots of opportunities to subscribe. Should I say that again?
Yes.
With more effect?
Yes.
A valuable incentive times lots of opportunities to subscribe. Do you understand what that means?
I think I do. Would you like to evaluate as well?
I'll explain more. So the valuable incentive, this is your lead magnet. So this is, incentivizing them to enter their details and to download, whether it's your lead magnet, could be a guide, it could be an infographic, it could be an exclusive video. It's something of real value to your audience, so they're willing to give you their email details, knowing full well then they're going to receive your marketing emails, to receive that bit of value that you're giving to them, that incentive. So that's what the valuable incentive is. And then the lots of opportunities to subscribe is most people on their websites, and brand new websites as well when they get them designed.
Yeah.
The newsletter subscribe option is hidden in the footer. No one goes down there and has a look. And then no one types in their details because it just says, sign up to our emails.
The footer's for terms and privacy and legal stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why hide it down there? And it sounds obvious, but people don't think about that until you actually explain it to them. If email is a big part of your strategy, it needs to be high up, big and bold on your website. So as soon as they go onto your site, they know we can receive this incentive. This is of great value to me. They care about me. They want to help me, and they're passionate about solving a problem in my industry. And this is how I can get that guide.
Yeah.
I really like scroll boxes.
Oh,
so that's when you're on your website, you browse around, and then a scroll box will appear in the bottom right-hand corner, or bottom left-hand corner, or something like that. It's almost like an improved light box.
Sure.
So a light box is when something just flashes up on the screen and overtakes the screen that you're on, and they're best described as annoying but effective. They are annoying because they distract you from what you're trying to do, but they are effective because they do get a good opt-in rate, especially if the incentive is very good. So a scroll box on the side is kind of a balance between the two, because it doesn't overtake the screen. You can still carry on with what you're doing, but it's obvious because it catches your attention when it scrolls up.
Yeah, the light boxes are interesting now. Like reading obviously lots of blog articles and things like that online, it's rare that you get to a blog article and start reading it without having that light box pop up, or without having something take over the screen. Hopefully not ads, but in that way it's obviously the pop-up to subscribe to their newsletter. So yeah, it's interesting. So do you think, like, in terms, obviously following on a little bit from that, do you think that you said they were good and they're annoying but effective, so do you think email marketers or people who are trying to build an email list have a kind of a moral obligation to reduce or restrict the amount of use that they use for light boxes because they're annoying, or do you think that because it's effective it should be fair game?
No, I think there is a fair usage policy with it. So especially on mobile, it can be so annoying if there's too many pop-ups on the site, because on mobile you have the tiny little X's that is hard to press sometimes, and you think that you've pressed off it and then suddenly you're opened up in the App Store downloading some sort of app. So the intent always has to be right. So if the incentive is of value enough that when it pops up, they're like, yeah, I'm really glad he interrupted me and offered me this. But it's got to be fair usage. You don't want too many pop-ups because they're on their site to learn about you rather than just opt into your further communications.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's good to bear in mind that people aren't necessarily looking at your email from Outlook or from a desktop application. Obviously, mobile is growing massively and probably overtakes what I'm sure it probably does overtake.
53% of emails now open on a mobile.
Yeah, so you need to bear that in mind, I suppose, when trying to opt in as well. So it's not just the consumption of the email, but opting into emails and things. People are on the bus, on the train, some even in the car, looking at websites and things like that. Obviously, we don't...
we do not endorse that.
No, we don't at all.
But when you're looking at cars driving alongside you... most of them are opting into emails.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I suppose bearing in mind. But then that comes back to what you said initially about making sure that your content, whether it be email or whether it be the opt-in, is tailored to the audience, and make sure that you bear them in mind when doing it as well, and how their usage uses it as well. So that sounds cool.
Okay. I like this is turned into an interview now. So
it is.
Ollie's doing well. Ollie might be back on the Winbox. By the way, what do you think about the name on the Winbox? Do you see what I'm kind of doing there?
So it's a play in words, obviously, of, I suppose, inbox, but then that's obviously like your company name. On the Winbox, I like the name, definitely. You can have some fancy graphics and fancy sort of branding to kick us off, which I know you've obviously got some of the opening and closing slides already for some of the videos.
Something up my sleeve. Yeah.
Always, indeed. So, I really like the name, actually.
Good. Well, now I've had Signable's approval, the name's here to stay. So get used to the name on the Winbox because it's not going anywhere because Ollie likes it. Okay, cool. Who's up next?
Who is up next? Okay, so the next question is from Twitter again, at Lloyd Kelsall, I think. What would your strategy be if you had no email addresses to start with? How would you encourage people to subscribe? And I suppose it's following on from the previous question as well.
Yeah.
But with an idea of starting from zero rather than from from an existing base.
Okay, so at Lloyd Kelso is a DJ. He's got a show on Soul Train FM, so he's really into his music. So thanks for the question, Lloyd. Really appreciate it, and loving your show. Make sure you give me a shout out, and on the Winbox a shout out actually if you like. Get people to watch this. So if you've got no email addresses to start with, I suppose a point that's good to touch on here is who you can add to your email list in terms of who's allowed to be on your list. Number one, a customer in the last couple of years, someone who's bought from you in the last 2 years, is allowed to be on your email list. Someone who's negotiated a sell with you in the last couple of years is allowed on your email list. And also someone who expressively opted in to receive your communications. So it's really important to keep that in mind because we do have a problem in the UK of people just adding anyone and everyone to their list and playing a numbers game.
Yeah.
Marketing is not a numbers game anymore. It used to be, it's not. It's coming towards the one-to-one marketing. It's all about depth of relationships now rather than width.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have 100,000 people on your email list. You need 100, 200, 1,000 people who are engaged and getting real value from your communications. So that's an important point to touch on.
Yep.
And what I would say to Lloyd is follow that formula. A valuable incentive times lots of opportunities to subscribe. So share that incentive on your social media channels, on your website in the most clear way possible. When you're at events as well, a lot of people, their aim, their objective when they go to an event is to sell. How much return on investment can we get from this event? As people now, we hate being sold to. We don't enjoy it. Our barriers go up and we're like, no, I'm not ready to enter into this relationship. You haven't helped me enough yet. You haven't provided me with enough value. So I'm going to move on to the next person who's not going to try and sell to me.
Yeah.
So have your objective of an event to gather as much data as you can, to help people with a good guide, with the incentive, and to gather data. And a good way to do that at an exhibition is you can have apps on your phone or your iPad that work online or offline to gather subscribers immediately, so they can sign up and have a little raffle going on behind you or a competition. If you sell office chairs, have a raffle to win an office chair. Just type in your details, and then the important bit is when they've typed in their details, there's an automated series of emails after to build the relationship. So the first email could be as soon as they sign up. The next time they check their phone, which we check our phone 15 times a day now to check our emails. So next time they do that, there's an email. Thanks for visiting our stand. Hope you're having a good day. Here's the guide or the incentive. We promise you all the draw to win this chair is going to be next week. And then a couple of days later, there could be another automated email. Hope you enjoyed the event. Here's a problem that our clients often have. This is a way to solve it. And then after that, you can have another email a couple of days later with a case study email, proof of how you solved that problem in the past. And then only when you've been through a series of really helping people and providing value and building a relationship have you earned the right to send more of a transactional message. And a transactional message isn't buy now. A transactional message is how can I help you further? How can I give you some tips? We build websites. Send me your website address and I'll give you top tips of how to improve your website. From my side, I do email marketing. Send me your email campaign and I'll tell you immediately how you can double your click-through rate. Because we all have our expertise, we all have our knowledge. So how can you help people to further have more depth with that relationship? And then the next scenario is going to be, how can you help me further? How can we work together, Mark? Because you provided me with all this value, I'm benefiting from it. Now let's work together in a more formal structure.
Sounds great. And I suppose following on as well, like at events, the amount of times I've been added to email newsletter lists because I've met someone once at a networking event, or not even met them, I was in the same room at the same time with them. That is not a reason to add them to an email newsletter list. They have to, if you're meeting them at an event, ask them, but make sure you ask them before you add them to a list. I think otherwise you start a relationship off on a bad note, and it kind of, the chance of them potentially buying from you in the future is a lot more diminished than if you actually were polite and asked them to do it as well. You must get added on events all the time. All the time.
And from a legal perspective, you shouldn't do it, even though they don't enforce it too hard, I don't think, at the moment in the UK. But from a best practice perspective, you only have one opportunity nowadays to impress someone, or they ignore you in the future, and that's because we've got so much choice now that you have to be far better than the average. And I hear it as well, people going to events, and they ask the question, I wonder if we can get hold of the list of all the people at this event so we can email them. So we can try and sell to them.
Even if they don't say they're going to email and sell, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Of course they are.
After the event, definitely.
Because they're desperate for that sell. But your intent has to be different now. You have to build up that relationship. Your intent has to be to help people and to provide value. and then you can ask you to sell once you have that depth of relationship.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. So yeah, next question. I think this is also from on Twitter at Giles_MIT. What would be your number one tip to become a #Winbox winner? In other words, how to get an email open rate of 40% plus.
Okay, so Giles runs Office Pantry, and they provide fruits boxes and grandmother-approved food.
Grandmother-approved food to offices, yeah. So food and drinks, I think they're moving into as well.
So we get their fruit at our office,
yeah.
And it's really good.
Really nice, yeah. I think fruit is fairly new to what they're doing, but I think overall it's kind of, they're trying to make sure that people in offices are actually having some form of option rather than just a vending machine that's crap.
Yeah. So basically what I was trying to do there is give Giles a little bit of a plug, because I'm really thankful that he took the time out of his day to send me a question for this Q&A, because I'm sure a lot of other people have this question as well.
Yeah.
So we can really help more people. So there's your plug. Thank you, Giles. And I forgot what the question was.
Sorry, number one tip to become a Winbox winner: how to get an email open rate 40% plus.
Okay. So I've mentioned the word quite a bit in this Q&A, and it's the number one tip is to have the right intent. It's the number one tip is have the right intent. So when you are thinking of your strategy, when you're coordinating it all, coming up with a plan, make sure your intent is to really help people with your expertise. We all have our specialisms, we all have our expertise. That's why we're in business.
Yep.
So make sure that you are. I want to work with people that are passionate about what they do, because when you're passionate about it, you want to share it with the world, even if you're not being paid for every word.
Yeah.
And that is, and that's the right intent to have nowadays. Is how can you help your audience with your email communications and provide them with real value and build a relationship and make a difference in your industry? How can you do that? That's got to be your intent. And then obviously you have the clever marketing behind it about how you can turn those relationships into paying customers. But your focus, your emphasis has to switch. It no longer anymore, because of spam, because email has been broken by marketers. Can we go out there with the main aim just to sell?
Yeah.
The main aim has to be to build relationships, to help people, and then the sales will follow from that. And that's a promise from Winbox. That's how you become a Winbox winners. You do email marketing the right way.
You do. Cool. So yeah, the next question. So from @Carol, Caroline Coaching, I think it is.
So C Arnold Coaching. Caroline Arnold.
Of course.
She does coaching.
Please, can you give 2 tips on what to focus on for email marketing if it's just you and your company? And I suppose you touched on it in the previous one about doing things right, and a lot of that comes down to content as well.
Yeah.
Do you think?
So I'll say something different for this answer, because I've given a lot of tips on what you should focus on. Number one, it doesn't matter if it's just you and your company. Personal branding is very strong nowadays. And you can give the perception of a bigger company if you want to, but people like to deal with people, and they know you're very good at what you do if you're running your own business most of the time. So that's absolutely fine. Don't hide behind that fact. But you're running your own business, and it's just you and the company for a reason. And that reason is more often than not that you're passionate about what you do. Because that's how you succeed in business now. You can't succeed in business if your main motivation is just to make money, because we're savvy to all the tricks now, and people see straight through
Ruined by marketers.
We ruin everything with marketers. We're great at that. But we are at a turning point as well, where we are learning that we have to be doing good in order to win people over and build these relationships.
So much opportunity available for that.
Yeah.
Because everyone's still doing it in the old-fashioned way, even using email marketing, which isn't necessarily seen as an old-fashioned method.
Yeah.
But people are still doing, as you said, building up thousands and thousands, or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of email lists. But as you said, there's a different way of doing things, a much more effective way.
Exactly. And it's the same on social media. People focus on how many followers can I get, and even resort to buying followers and things like that, and following people from their target audiences in the UK, and they're following people from China because they follow back so they can build up their numbers. And the same with email. They have a lot of similarities with social. It's about the depth of the relationship rather than the width.
I think also that people are trying to look for that shortcut. Like with email lists, email marketing, people buy lists because they don't know or don't want to put in the effort to build a decent list. They buy followers, they buy likes, they buy whatever, or they follow back, again, because they don't know or they don't want to spend that additional time to actually build a decent following. So they're trying to look for that silver bullet. They're looking for that shortcut in business. And nowadays, I mean, even previously, there aren't any shortcuts in life anyway. There's no shortcuts. If you want to build a list, if you want to make sure that you are the go-to company or the go-to people for whatever you do, you need to put in the time and the work, definitely.
That is spot on the money. If you take one thing from this Q&A today, and I know you're going to take thousands, because
of course,
there's so much good stuff.
Yeah.
But it is that there is no shortcuts in marketing. There's no shortcuts in business, in life. If something is a shortcut, really look at it with skeptical eyes, because marketing nowadays, email marketing, social media, whatever you're doing, takes effort. It really does. It's not easy.
No.
And that's because there's so much out there. There's
Yeah.
so much content, so much noise out there, that to cut through it, you have to be good. And the way that you're good at what you do is through effort.
Yeah, through effort, through personalization, and being different from everyone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are no shortcuts, which is mental, I suppose. Which
Exactly.
is cool. Good.
Next question.
So this is also from Twitter, from @FrecklesCC. How often should you email market? How much time should you spend on email marketing?
Okay, thanks for the question, Freckles. Really appreciate it. Her name's Joe, but we call it Freckles.
Of course.
Our business is called Freckles. So how often should you do it? It all depends on your target audience. So think about your product, your audience, and how they would, the frequency that they'd prefer to receive your campaigns. So again, always focus on them, and test and measure what works best for your audience as well. So test and measure different frequencies, different time of the day, different days, and just see what gets you your optimum results.
Yep.
So that's very important. From a scientific research point of view, the polls that have been carried out, people prefer to receive emails at least weekly, followed by at least monthly. So I always think, especially if you're a smaller business, monthly is quite a good frequency, because it is hard to come up with lots of good content all the time if your resources, your time, your copywriting skills, your idea generation that you can have from your team and the rest of it's quite limited. Monthly is quite a good frequency to start, and I would never do any less than monthly.
No.
Because of the amount of noise and and content that's out there, any less than monthly, and it's not going to be remembered, it's just going to be forgotten about.
I suppose the good thing about email marketing is, unlike sort of offline marketing as well, so email, you can test that. So as you said, it's going to be different for every single company, even companies in the same industry, it's going to be different for, because you may be trying to portray a certain style or certain behavior. So test it. Start off doing weekly or start off doing monthly, and then see how long you can do it. But I suppose the key thing is that we've probably seen as well, people start off with the best intentions. They start off in an email campaign and go, right, I'm going to do this every week, or I'm going to do this every month, even to the extent of putting a date or some time in the calendar to work it on. And we all know, we all get busy, and we all put off things we don't necessarily want to do, especially if when you're starting out, the results aren't necessarily overnight, because they're not with any marketing. So they'll do it for a couple of months, or they'll do it for a couple of weeks, and then slowly they drop off, or they drop off and they don't do it anymore. So you don't hear from them again, apart from that Merry Christmas email. So yeah, it does seem to be very, very much of a balance in terms of how often you do it. But I suppose the key thing as well is just to keep doing it regardless of the frequency. Yeah,
you have to be consistent, and it's not a magic bullet. There's no shortcuts. There's no magic bullet out there. So you have to be consistent, and you have to improve all the time in your communications as well, because that's what's going to get your message across. And it's similar, I suppose, to fitness. And this time of year, a lot of people are on the New Year's resolutions bandwagon of getting fit. At the start, you go to the gym a lot with all the right intentions. I'm going to go 3-4 times a week, whatever it is. You don't see massive results, there's only little results, so gradually it dwindles out, and then you're back to where you were before. Whereas if you kept that up, in a year's time, you'll be in such a better position physically and in your health if you carried it on.
Definitely.
And it's the same in your marketing, all your marketing, not just email marketing. It's about consistency nowadays. Again, going back to, because there's so much noise out there, to cut through that noise, you need to be consistent. And in terms of the frequency, the quality of the frequency has to be good as well. If you have one bad campaign, chances are the next time that recipient who read that poor campaign that wasn't very well thought out will see it pop up in their inbox, they'll ignore it and they'll blinker it because you didn't provide them with value last time. So make sure every campaign you send is of high quality, and every campaign you put the effort into it that your audience deserves. Yeah,
brilliant. Great stuff. And the last question here, it's from @JackieBent on Twitter as well. How do your email campaigns evolve? So I assume what she means by that is starting out, you obviously have different strategy maybe to start out, and then over time, months, maybe even years, how do they evolve? I suppose I may be putting words into a mouth, but
No, I think that's what I got from the question too, and we'll answer it that way anyway.
Cool.
So if you've got a problem with that, Jackie, you're going to have to tweet in another question,
yes,
and we can answer it next time.
Yeah.
So your email campaign should constantly be evolving, and one of the great things about email marketing, and Ollie touched on it, is that you get so much analytics, so much reports about what's worked and what's not, what links people have clicked on, how many times, how much they've engaged with a campaign, whether they shared it on social media and the rest of it, that you need to be constantly learning from each campaign about what your audience wants, what they want to receive, and how frequently they want to receive it, and in what way they want to receive that value. Do they like to receive your communications in a video? Do they like to receive your communications in an infographic? Is blog articles more popular than them? Do they prefer just the content to actually be in the email and just to be short tips and bullet points?
Yeah.
You need to constantly learn from each campaign of what your audience wants, so your campaign evolves over time to be more effective and more appealing to your audience. Constant learning is the key. I think that answers your question, doesn't it?
I think it does. I think it's a brilliant answer to that question.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
No
You're
problem.
definitely coming back.
Cool. And yeah, so I think that's about it. But there's a few takeaways, I suppose, from this. Is like that there are, put the effort in, there are no shortcuts, and just constantly evolve, constantly, I suppose it's a great question to finish on, I suppose, that it's constantly an evolution in terms of where your marketing is.
Yeah.
Specifically email marketing, of course, because you have that visibility into it. And just constantly try new things and constantly improve and try to improve the service and the frequency or even the quality, more importantly, of the email.
Spot on. And I really want to thank Ollie for being here today, for taking time out of his busy schedule.
Invoices in the post.
Send it in the post. Yeah. Don't email it because it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So go check out Ollie's website, signable.com.
Signable.co.uk. Yes.
We added that bit out. Signable.co.uk. So go check it out. Thanks, Ollie, for being here today. Tweet me your email marketing questions. I really want to help as many people as I can. And chances are, if you've got that question, so are thousands of other people out there. So I really want to provide as much value as I possibly can. So tweet me your email marketing questions is at Winbox Marketing, and use the hashtag WinboxWinners. And we'll be doing these shows quite regularly. So make sure you tweet your questions, and I will answer them on the show.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.